Focus on the plastics, for example, or plastic. What is plastic? It's something that's engineered, and when it enters your body, it's something called, it's lipophilic. It attaches to your fat cells, and it stays there, and it makes you insulin resistant. And insulin is what your body is how you keep your blood sugars in homeostatic level. And when you become insulin resistant, your liver has a hard time breaking down estrogen and progesterone, has a hard time metabolizing into specific hormonal pathways, so your hormones can become toxic secondary to some other toxin like bisphenol A or BPA in plastics. You guys seen the BPA-free bottles and stuff like that? Well, that's bisphenol A. Really toxic because it binds to specific estrogen receptors, so your hormones can be toxic. So you guys already know that mercury is toxic, right? I have a personal experience with this. I have amalgams that need to be taken out. Someone's gonna help me. Someone's gonna help me there. Arsenic and different heavy metals, and these come from the environment, these come from food, these come from the water that we drink. And then if you live within a mile of the interstate, you can be toxic from the pollution that gets kicked up in the interstate. So earlier I just had you guys stand up, but just by the act of standing up, you just improve your lymphatic flow. So in your body, you have your blood vessels, you have blood flowing through, and then you have lymphatics, and these lymphatics clear out a lot of toxins from different parts of our body. Your lymphatics are extremely important to clear out toxins from viruses and mold and fungus and this environmental toxins like styrene and bisphenol A from plastic. And because the lymphatic system allows you to drain, so when you did a little jump earlier, well, you just improve the lymphatic system by activating your quadriceps and your gluteus maximus, which is your butt, and it starts this pumping process through the lymphatic system is allow you to be able to detoxify because it's moving through. This is why Tai Chi, you guys know Tai Chi? Yeah, Tai Chi, woo! Okay. My mom used to teach Tai Chi. This is why Tai Chi is so important, because the fluid motion, the fluid movement allows the lymphatics, and it's a very detoxifying effect. And the very last jump you did was a very high jump. Okay, why do you think that's detoxifying? Well, not only because you're contracting your muscles, because you were laughing, right? Why is laughing a detox? You just drop your cortisol levels, it was your stress hormone, your serotonin goes up, and you sit down, you become really relaxed, and then you're more able to believe all the stuff that I'm saying. Right? Oh, thank you very much. And so, you know, detox is it's a very biochemical thing, but there's a lot of things that clog up our detoxification mechanisms, like all the different things that I said earlier, right? And so aside from jumping and laughing, well, you need a quality sleep, you need a really good diet to have the detoxification process. But let's talk about the detox that you're going to be able to share with your friends and family and everybody else. So why is this specific detox such a good thing, and how often should you do it? There's a lot of questions that come up about that. And what really is detox? So if you do a Google search right now, if you don't believe me, you can do it on your iPhones and stuff like that. If you do a Google search right now, is do I need to detox? The first two link, one is from Huffington Post, and the other one is from WebMD. And both of them saying that there's no scientific evidence-based studies that saying detoxification is necessary. Weird. Okay? But if you look into PubMed, which is where you search all your peer-reviewed journals, you see mercury and liver detoxification process, animal studies and human study. You see bisphenol A going through specific lymphatic and binding channels. You see all these things being cleared out. So why are the two more popular blog sites, which is WebMD and Huffington Post, saying you don't really need a detox? Because most people don't know what a toxin is. Mm-hmm. Right? Most people don't know that when the lid of the Starbucks mug, it has bisphenol A, Ooh. And that it can bind to specific estrogen sites. That's right. They don't really know that. Most physicians don't know that. And so I think that the word detoxification has been overall what I consider like a holistic sounding word, and there's a lot of negative connotation to it, but it's heavily scientific. You have to be able to clear your toxin. You have to be able to recognize, you have to be able to bind the toxins, eliminate it into your bile duct, like Dr. Shea just said yesterday. You got to be able to poop as well, right? Right. So that's important. Woo! And so when we look at detoxes, how many have heard of people who do like a juice cleanse or juice fast and get super sick? Okay? Chances are they either had the gallbladders removed in surgery before, or they have gallstones or biliary sludge, we call it. It's very sludgy. There's a lot of backup behind it. We have a mold detox program in my practice, and most of the people who are mold toxic, I think, so for all of the people who are mold toxic, have had the gallbladders removed sometime in their life. Who's had the gallbladders removed? Well, that's a lot of people. Wow, that's like a third of the room. It's a very common surgery, right? And so whenever we try to detox, our bile duct has to start flowing. So let's talk about what this two-stage push-cast detox is that Dr. Shade has been talking about. Is what you're trying to do is all those toxins I talked about, like the plastics and the metals and everything like that, it needs to be able, your body needs to be able to recognize it. And once it's recognized it, your body needs to be able to attach different chemical groups on it. Either sulfate groups, and it's able to bind it into the bile. So if you have someone with liver disease or bile duct disease or don't have a gallbladder, it's really hard to detoxify them. And so the detox that you're using has to be able to address that particular stage of detox called stage 3 detox. And that's what we do, is we work backwards. And so whenever you hear someone saying, oh, I tried this detox and it didn't work for me, I don't want to try this one. Well, this is so different because it addresses that particular part of the detoxification mechanism. And not everybody detoxes the same way. Some people have to be really slow, and some people can detox just fine, but the slower the better. And more is not better in terms of detoxification. So when you're sharing this with your friends and family, there's different people detox in different ways because of the genetics, because of what they were exposed to, and where they live. So there's a portion in East Houston, actually that's where Austin's from, where they are exposed to a lot of environmental toxins there from a lot of the petroleum byproduct and petroleum factories over there. And we find that people from that specific region tend to accumulate a lot of heavy metals. And it's not because they're exposed to heavy metals in that region, it's because they're exposed to other pollutants and toxins that their liver is working really hard to try to bind up and detoxify them every day so they can live. Our bodies were not made for that. There's no petroleum factories 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, right? Our bodies were developed over tens of thousands of years for specific detoxification mechanisms. We were made to be on this earth, walking naked in the sun, that vitamin D can activate through our entire surface area of our body. We don't have that today, right? We were made to step on dung and feces and stuff like that. We're supposed to be able to detox from this, but we don't necessarily have that today. So that's why you see a lot of people, you see a lot of children who develop asthma later in life because they actually had a very clean childhood. Isn't that weird? It's a clean childhood, you get asthma later on. It's because these mechanisms are in store for us to be able to not just detoxify, but be able to keep toxins at bay. But when you have this petroleum plant that's right here, our bodies weren't made for this. When you go to a gas station and you pump gas and you smell it, our bodies weren't made for that. There was no gas station 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Well, they might have been 100 years ago. Henry Ford invented that, right? Maybe 1,000 years ago, there weren't any gas stations. 1,000 years ago, there's no rooms like this, right? There's no solvents in the carpet, which I can smell right now, actually. And you're actually able to, your body's actively trying to detoxify from that. So all your detox mechanisms are bound up, trying to detox you from something else. And then heavy metals come along, viruses come along, and you get sick, okay? The last flu season was one of the worst flu seasons in terms of mortality in the history of America. And the highest rates of death are around the Gulf of Mexico. Why is that? How many hurricanes do we have in the Gulf of Mexico last? Yeah, Hurricane Harvey. Now, I was flooded on Hurricane Harvey. We actually just moved back in 3 weeks ago. But Hurricane Harvey in Houston, I mean, it devastated us. And there's so many mold toxins that are around. And people's liver and detox mechanisms are trying so hard to detox from the mold that they can't detox from everything else. And influenza, flu, produces a toxin, okay? And they can't detox from the flu, they get really ill. You have young people dying from the flu. Flu is a very, very, very deadly disease. I've seen deaths from flu more than I've seen any other viruses in my career. Back when I was running and managing the intensive care units in New York. So we see this all the time, and what a lot of doctors and scientists trying to do is like, well, how can we, you know what, let's just give you more flu vaccines, maybe that'll do it. Well, someone said boo. How successful was the flu vaccine this past season? Not very much. And also, get this, when someone has a little bit of a viral infection and the temperature goes up to 99, what do people take immediately? Tylenol. Okay, so what does Tylenol do? Tylenol depresses your detox mechanisms. It reduces something called glutathione. Glutathione is the whole thing that we're trying to upregulate during the two-phase detox. So how do you deal with this? Well, you can do liposomal detoxes from Dr. Shane, right? You can do these specific things. You do it once a quarter or so, and you're able to, I hate to say the word clean out, but that's what it really is. Clean out a lot of the gunk that's really in there to resurface your detoxification mechanisms, okay? And there's a lot of terms I could use that are highly scientific, but I think Dr. Shane's talk yesterday was like pretty PhD level, correct? Talked about mitochondria, the Golgi apparatus, talk about all these different things. So I'm not going to go there. But the whole point of the detox for your body to make glutathione for you to detox away from other things. And so, how do you share the detoxification process? Someone who is recently ill and has been, you know what, I've just been sick for such a long time, well, they're trying to detox from something. Someone with allergies, who's got really bad allergies? It's a lot of the room too. Someone with allergy can actually benefit from detox because detoxification decreases what's called mast cell degranulation and decreases histamine responses. Once again, those menopausal women that can actually benefit from the detox. I had 2 women who actually started having periods again after a detox because they weren't supposed to in the first place because their estrogen receptors were bound up by all this gunk, right? And so, I know, it's weird. And then, I don't know. All right, I'm gonna pick on men for a second. Who's got man boobs? Raise your hand if you have man boobs. Man boobs are, they're actually breast tissue from estrogen-dominant men. Right. Because men actually can't have detox mechanisms that break down a lot of the estrogen products. And so a lot of their testosterone turns into estrogen metabolites, causing, you know, man boobs. Yeah. Gynecomastia is the correct term. And then all of a sudden they cry commercials for no reason. So, and believe it or not, it's really common. It's really common. So I hope you guys have a great understanding of what the detoxification mechanism is. And one more time, just stand up real quick because someone's about to pull me off stage. Uh-oh. Yes?
We're doing a clinical trial. We need you to cover that.
Clinical trial, real quick. You guys can sit down, sorry. I was going to have you stand up and do detox again. So in the clinical trial, what we're trying to do is looking at very specific cardiac markers, inflammatory markers, biomarkers, liver markers, before and after detoxification. You like that? And it's going to be placebo-controlled, which means there's going to be people that are getting the placebo, and then the people who are actually getting the detox. And we're actually going to see, based on specific cardiac markers and specific liver and even thyroid and other hormonal markers, what can we do? Do hormone levels improve? Do we have a lower risk of any cardiac inflammation? We're going to be able to see all that. So I'm very excited about that. And not only that, we're also doing an ultrasound of these people before and after to see if we can clear up some stones and sludge, which I think will work.